Okay, so I have been actually using Dreamcatcher.ai all day. I barely touched ChatGPT or Grok.com. I've just been doing it all here.
Yeah, cool.
So, yeah, uh, it's been fun. Um, I got some issues about attaching files and repos, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to talk to you about them. I also have a need to start a company because I've realized that there is a narrow, very useful set of services that are missing from the AI ecosystem, and I would like to put forward the notion of starting a small company to service those things.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
Um, where do you want to start?
Um, well, selfishly, on the repos,
Okay,
please.
so what I've got is I am sorry that this isn't working yet. My delay is in making sure I'm integrating in the right place, because if I integrate wrong, upstream will continue to clobber me, and it may cause, like, the more intertwined in their code base the feature becomes, the more difficult to keep, the more labor it is to keep pace with upstream.
Yeah, and the
Um,
more fragile it becomes. Yeah.
yeah, but additionally, I'm also trying to um, I'm trying to figure out, because you need tool calls into doing file operations too, and I just wonder if the reading the repos, the browsing, the searching, I just wonder if that isn't better being delivered as an MCP server, obviously with some extra bits to make sure it's repeatable and it's um, passes the hashes of the get objects around and all that stuff. But if it was an MCP server, then I would be giving you the repos, the branches, the files, but also um, the writing of them, plus sort of a more generalized interface into NAPS,
Mm-hmm.
because the reason is that this platform, or they've already done a good amount of work on integrating MCP servers,
Mm-hmm.
and if I made Artifact be another MCP server, then the plugin into this code base is much more surgical, as opposed to like this twisting vine that has to wrap around the code, and it's something different. I can slot in um, straight into their line of thinking.
So how would that work? You'd have an MCP server service, which is a Git server.
It's Artifact exposed as an MCP service,
Right.
and it can, like, you can do all the standard commands that Artifact has, like list repos, read repo, list branches, read branch, walk history.
Does that have any implications for transclusions?
Possibly, because the research I did today was to see if I couldn't make the. So I definitely have to make a transclusion device, which is to say, some sort of an item that sits that sits sort of like here or here that lets you add to or change your transclusions, but also, some extra thing like maybe a modal or something like that that lets you manage your files too. So I need to make that device. There's no getting around that. But using the MCP server, I could make a browser that would pull from the MCP server, because the research I was doing was around, can the MCP server give you like listings of files and things like that, and it absolutely can. So I can make a piece of conventional user interface that can pull in the files and then sort of stamp them and make them be part of the chat. And I guess I am a little confused because it's not clear to me which is the efficient path yet. The other sort of very easy way to do all of this is like I could just slap a frame in here very trivially, and then you can straight away, I could use the exact same frame that's running on the old version, and you can browse around, and then I just hook up the selection piece to be tied in. But I'm not sure which is the right one to choose yet, because I think it's pretty important, this concept of being able to go somewhere and then have your transclusion, have your context follow.
Yeah.
So you're sort of carrying it with you, almost like a clipboard on the mouse, and you can choose to drop it down when you land. So those things are, a little bit related, a little bit not. But the other sort of deeper question is, I know you want selection of files now, as do I, but is that really the future? Is it just that we want selection of files because that's sort of what we're used to?
I don't think so, but that's a really good question. I guess the corollary is our context window is going to get so large that the AI can work out what you're talking about, given a whole dump.
Right, but additionally, when OpenAI released the deep research agents, the deep research models that we can call via the API, the models require an MCP server connection with two commands: search and read. So they search for stuff and they get back a bunch of IDs, and then they read from the IDs. And that's all. And they loop over it endlessly. And so it might be that context is more likely to shift towards being something that an agent, a model, loops over a bunch of stuff to figure out what your context should be. Because you selecting these files is a different mode of communication other than text, voice, prompt, right? It beleaguers us with user interface, and we must carry these files around, and then you've got this extra complication of modifying the transclusion, and then at some point we're going to need to hook up an assistant that can help sort of compress your transclusion or weed out what's not important and all these different things. And I know that it is inescapable that we must include transclusions, we must include file selection in this version. Like, that's just, we're not going to make it anywhere without that. But I'm just begging the question, is it the future? And how many more model iterations before the model's so good and the context window's so big that type of feature dissipates?
I think we've got some time before that happens. I'll give you a reason for that.
Okay.
We've got the idea of many repos, and innovation comes from pulling very diverse sources of information. So if we're wanting to compare and contrast 17th century French politics with US politics today, getting the AI to reliably get what you're saying just from the prompt, I think, is beyond the human to be able to do. I mean, you could specify it and then it would run off and do it. But
Oh, so
maybe,
you're saying that the selection of files is a way to hyper focus the bot in a way that no amount of prompting can.
yes, because
Like,
the limitation is not with the AI, it's with the human.
oh, okay, that is an undeniable point. I shall continue to insert the thing. So, yeah, I'm sorry that it's not running. I have all the background stuff done, the authentication, um, the I know how to do it. I have the pieces to do it. But this thing with the MCP server, I'm like, I either burn a bunch of work in this code base, modifying the code base in ways that I might get my fingers cut off, and I always have to sort of, I have to comprehend what the library authors want to do and project what they might do next, so I insert things in the right way. Okay, fine. Or is it possible to achieve what we need using the MCP protocol? Because then I've done work that makes Artifact more generally useful across the board to anyone who wants to jack it into an MCP server, and I have followed the defined way to integrate with this library so that I'm not really breaking anything, and I have included in that an easy way to add in the write functions plus a range of other functions into the assistants without being, like it's almost like I got to do the MCP thing anyway.
Right, right. Well, my initial gut response is it's better to roll with a well-known
Their
interface
well-defined
that
interface. I should enter
doesn't.
through their well-defined interface, right?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's probably what they're going to support, because it would break too many things if they stop supporting it.
Right. And then a lot of their concepts, like this discovery thing, where you search for an MCP plugin. Well, we want to make that search for a NAP, search for a frame, search for an agent, search for an assistant. Like, we want the same things as them, and so this sort of concept and interface matches exactly. And so, like, I do wonder sometimes when I look through this code base, these guys are screaming out for a way to do this plugin based architecture in a way that's secure. And we have that with Artifact because we can deliver hash locked content like an iframe where the hash of the iframe is locked, so you know what you're getting. It's not, whereas here these guys have got it so that it actually genuinely loads a remote URL. And to control things at the moment, they've made it that they publish the URLs. So if you want to list in this store, you've got to pull request your thing against their repo, and then they accept it, and then run the build, and then boof, now it's here. But that's very centralized.
Yeah.
And it doesn't allow me as a consumer to pick multiple different publishing sources like those guys, these other black market guys, some local kid down the road. Like, I should be able to combine a bunch of stores and basically a bunch of mailing news lists into one.
Yeah. and I don't know what they could do as a gateway or but because for example, with that example you just had, right? Say if there are two repos on different Git servers, I want to, and with permissions, take both repos into the context and talk to the bot about them both at the same time. I want to be able to combine from disparate sources.
Yep.
And sure, I'm saying repos, but you could also add other sources. But that seems through this model that would be straightforward enough.
Okay, well, look, it sounds like you've helped clear my focus. I need to get the MCP server up because you're going to want tool calling. I'm going to want more naps immediately. You probably are too. MCP plugs in nicely rather than us jacking in our own thing. Plus, MCP is more broadly available. So I also checked that MCP supports dynamically updating the tool call list. So that means that an agent could try to do something and then could make a call to discover some new tools, and in the MCP server it would say load the new tool, and then the next agent call it would now have the new tool available. So MCP provides a bit of what would have been programming gymnastics on my side inside of the Dreamcatcher site, but with MCP, it's kind of built in that the bot can fluidly, dynamically change its tool set if the MCP permits it.
Oh, that's obviously good.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay.
A couple questions.
Yeah.
How do the MCP installs present in the interface at the moment? Say you install one. How do you get to use it if there is any human interaction?
Right now, I believe you have to install it on your local machine or a server, and then you install it in the in this interface, which I'm not seeing a button for. It was like I'm sorry, I don't know where the fuck it is.
Is this a user-facing service or?
Yeah. It was like you're supposed to be able to click a button and then install it. I don't know where the button went.
Yeah.
Like you're supposed to be able to go install.
Yeah.
Well, that's
it's not being cropped because of screen size or something.
something stupid, eh? Like there's this screen cropping thing here, right? Like I'm just, it pains me so much, but I'm trying really hard to not fix all the little problems that I see. I'm just like, no, keep going. You got to get files, and then you're gonna get stucks, and then.
Yeah. Okay. So we're assuming it's installable.
Yeah. And then you're asking what it looks like when it's there. Well, what it should do is you'd see it under the plugin thing. Like it's supposed to show up there.
Right. Okay. So you'd say in this scenario you want to link two disparate Git servers.
So sorry. Yeah, I think this is sorry. This is how you do it. This is awkward as shit. Okay, you go to that site, you run the npm command to download and run the server on your local machine. You then go add MCP plugin, and then you pick how you want to install it, and then you go test the connection, blah blah blah, and then install it.
Right, that
Which
sucks. But you
doesn't it?
know.
But I mean, these guys are basically facing the problems that we hit that caused us to make Artifact in the first place, which
Yeah.
was like broadly distributed, widely available computing on the fly with
So,
safety.
here's what I would want to do, ideally, is talking to an assistant, probably, um, on a thread, go, connect me to the Git repo at this URL.
Right. So
And it would go, oh, you need a plugin for that. Let me install the plugin. Boom, boom, boom.
like you fucking sort it out. Don't expect me to know. Like you're the context protocol. Find the
Exactly.
context.
Yes. It's like, okay, give me a second. Right, okay, found the plugin.
Yeah,
Right,
so
you're going to need that
basically
plugin.
what we'd be doing is we'd be setting up the store, this same store that I can search manually would be searchable by using the MCP server. And so the way I think it would work is that actually you only need one MCP service, which is ours. And you use the MCP service of Artifact to figure out what naps are available. So we use MCP as the delivery pipe for naps, but it allows you to browse the store and all that. And I can hook up a UI that can display the contents of the store that it pulled in from the MCP server. So that's no
Exactly.
problem.
And you want to do it, again, with natural language. You want to say, show me
Yeah.
the location of the store.
Yeah.
You don't have a map or a search installed and saying, well, okay, I'm going to reason about that. In order to find out where the location of the store is, I'm going to have to show it. So you're going to have some kind of plugin for that and the search for it and so on. What I don't want to do is to figure out it's actually portfolio meta or Bing
Like
web
who
search.
even knows, right? And then it's
Right.
also like, well, can you? The bot might not know either. It's like, can you do some background research? Can you run a version of all three of them, and then
Yeah.
find out which one works? Can you like share that to the other agents in my friends' network so that they also have a better idea than me? Like, don't rely on someone clicking the 5 stars or the 3 stars. Like you, the AI, because you can be trusted, do a trusted knowledge base article that describes this fucking thing. Like,
And also, what I'd expect it to do, and this is maybe a bit of a stretch, is if it makes a decision and says, okay, you need this plugin, and then here's the result. If it looks like during interaction with the assistant that I'm struggling, it's like I keep on asking you the same thing. I'm not getting the result. I'm going to ask it a different way. You should go back and reconsider and going, well, maybe there's a better plugin. Now I understand more about what you're trying to do.
yeah, that's right. And ultimately, it should create a stuck.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's where, when it comes when you're asking it to do stuff and it can't do it, then boom. Okay. Stuck world.
Right. So I'll tell you what, I'll see how far I get with making the file browser itself be an MCP server so that the UI of the file picker, because I assume you still want a UI for file picking over here, right?
Yes, but I'm wondering now. This
Yes,
is a bit of
but
a,
did you
this
just
is a bit
yes
of
but me? I
a
just spent
dodge.
the last 3 days researching your request, and you come back with yes but.
No, but I'm considering carefully what you're saying about context windows.
Right. It's I know. It's not I know I'm being a smartass, but it's actually not as straightforward as it may have once seemed to us, right?
No, it's not, and I'm wondering whether we're assuming the level of transcludes is at the file level. I'm wondering whether it's at the repo level.
Why can't it be in both?
It can be, but if a repo is unitary and deals with a single topic, why do you need to know inside of that? there's a cognitive load that you're putting onto the human by saying, right, you go into the repo and tell me the files that are pertinent, and I might not know, because that repo might be owned by someone else. I don't know how to
Right,
structure it.
but there are other times when you do know and you absolutely want to point at it. Like an
Yeah,
ape with a stick pointing at like a supercomputer. You're like, "Rrr."
yeah, yeah.
And
Oh, I
then
guess I'm saying, is it more onerous on your side, coding wise, to get the file thing in, or just say, right, here's the repo, do your internal searchy thing,
do your thing.
and
Um,
so I don't have to.
it's probably much of a muchness. I mean, you convinced me like 10 minutes ago that if we don't allow people to select files, they will revolt.
Yes, well, select uh, chunks of knowledge, uh, and I guess what
Yeah,
I'm
but
picking up
files
on
and
is,
folders, repos, files, folders are the natural handle that we've all been trained on for nearly, it's probably
yeah,
coming up to
yeah,
a century.
yeah,
Like, you
yeah,
can't ditch that now. It is,
no,
you're right, it will disappear, but I think it's not ready to it needs to disappear because of a vastly superior experience. We don't have that now, so we need to supply the files.
fair one, fair one.
Yeah.
Okay, I retract my earlier question.
Okay. That's good. I'm grateful that you're seeing the other side of what I was getting at. I was like, hang on a minute. Maybe that's not the maybe that's like we want something that's already old.
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay, so what I'll do is I'll implement Artifact as an MCP server so that can I do paint?
Can I just ask for a bit of a and excuse my ignorance, what's involved in spinning up an MCP server? Is this a big task? Is it a small task? Is it, an AI, you could talk to an AI
It's
and get it to spin up one?
a it's a probably if we hadn't built Artifact already, it would probably be a mid-level task.
Right.
Because we have Artifact and there's like starter libraries and reference implementations, it should be like it's not hard. It's not hard at all. It's my worry is, have I considered all the use cases that we want out of it to know that it fits? Does it? So I guess the hard work's been done over the last 2 days when I was researching it, like the dynamic tool updating, the retrieval of files, those types of things is like it's not the putting it in there that's hard. It's the, is it the right way to go? Is it the right place to spend the time on? Question, because does
Well,
it do everything?
I think it is.
Mm.
Or my opinion is that it is more brittle to try and wire stuff in
It
than
is.
just
It is. It
roll with.
absolutely is. It absolutely is. And I hate MCP because it's like the next generation of mutability. It's like the non-repeatable calls to these remote servers, and I hate that. But I did some additional research today about how to incorporate the repeatability, the hash-based guarantees that Artifact has into the MCP protocol response, so that it can be used as a repeatable function calling.
How? Because you don't have control over the server.
What?
If I
Yeah,
ask
dude.
the
I'm in
well,
complete control of the server. I made the server.
okay, so say if you plug in a weather service and ice cream van service,
Oh,
and
hang on. I think I get what you mean. So the architecture I was thinking of, if I can just draw it here, that's why I got this paint thing up.
Yeah,
and
cool.
then the model might sit better. So there's you. I don't know how to make you look Scottish. I think it's like that's the Scottish flag.
That's
So
close enough. Yeah.
that's you. And then there's your browser.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the database. God, I would love a database icon right now. And then there's the server. Not even going to try. You're just going to have to.
Yeah, server. Yep.
And then there is artifact. Oh shit, that was going to be a circle. So you're here.
Yep.
You talk exclusively to this thing.
Yeah.
If this thing is the thing that makes AI calls and then stores them in artifact eventually, stores them in the database and then the database stores them in artifact. Looks a little convoluted right now. It's not. Well, I mean, it is, but it still ends up in artifact. It's still your chats in a repo. Your blah 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 blah.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about
But
this one. Yeah.
ultimately, the AI comes back and says, "Yo, I need to make a tool call." The server goes, instead of doing internal tool calls, which is done by way of plugins or by way of me mashing the code to have tools, it uses the MCP protocol to talk to the artifact host, which is this thing that we've already got sitting in Fly.io, and using Tigris as the S3 bucket and all that. It calls out to artifact to make to perform. First of all, it discovery, so it discovers what the server can do, and then it starts the process of invocations, reading, searching, getting more tools, stuff like that, where the responses go back and forth to the server that get relayed back to the AI that you, the person, witnesses whirring away here. But all I got to do to make it hash locked is to, when each MCP call comes in, I first of all I have to pass in the hash of the message that triggered it, and then when it comes back, I just pass back the hash of the new server state or repo state or whatever was affected by that call back, so that that gets stored in the chat as well. And it's a little bit hocus. I'm sure that we can refine it, but as a starter for 10, that preserves the path to Dark Edge. It gives us a direct, lightweight insertion point into the existing front-end application that we've sidecut or piggybacked on top of. It exposes artifact for broader use using the MCP, using the protocol there.
Yep.
And it doesn't really lose anything. So what I was gonna get at is, I think my design is gonna be, actually, I strip down the existing design and make it so that there's only ever one MCP server, and that's it. Your only MCP server is artifact. And if you wanted to call other MCP servers, we will do it on the artifact side for you. And that means we can hash lock it. So even if we go out to an API, it's still like, the flag would come back and say side effect, and the side effect would have a hash, and we're like, we have no control over the side effect. It happened outside of our system, but this is the hash of the call. This is the hash of the response. If you want to replay it, you just replay those items in place of where we made a side effect call, and you can do repeatability.
Right. Right.
I think that sounds like it's a little bit of a motherfucking dance, but it's sort of, it seems to make sense, because otherwise all this song and dance happening over here is going to have to be done piecemeal inside of the existing server code for the UI, and
Right.
that just won't do.
No, and saying before, it's far less brittle because instead of having to go inside the server, you just make sure that that link is supported and you're behaving. Repeatability. Uh,
You
you
cannot
still
have
don't have
Dark
to.
Edge without repeatability.
Yeah. But what if the dark edge is changed without your knowledge? You've got what you sent and what you received at a point in time.
Mm.
You can't go back and repeat that with full knowledge that the
Oh, you mean
the
because you don't, if you lose contact, like if there's a break here and you lose contact with the artifact cluster?
no, it's meaning see the arrow going out of artifact up
This
and
one?
to the right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's to another service, right?
Yeah.
External service.
Yeah.
You don't know whether that service has been corrupted or has changed or moved on.
Well, there's no way to, if it was another artifact compatible service, it would be different because it would be repeatable. But
yes,
if it was just a pure API service, even if you weren't Dark Edge, you can't get the same result back. So you have to, the way I get around that is you make the call once and then you record what you called with and what came back, and you just have to use that as the replay and make sure that whatever you're relying on for your repeatability, that you're aware that that was a side effect. Side effects are required to be useful and they're very common, but there's no other way to deal with a side effect other than to snapshot it and be like,
yeah, and
this way.
no, that works because at least you can replay multiple steps
Everything else.
that have gone out to side effects.
Yeah, you can
stuff
replay
that you don't
everything
have
else.
control over.
Yeah.
And you've not cached, but you've stopped out.
You've snapshotted. You've snapshotted the side effects, and that's, so long as you're explicit about it, that's a very reasonable way to deal with that problem. Because
I don't think there's any other way. Because,
there really isn't. I mean, you can deal with it worse ways. Put it this way: you could deal with it worse ways.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. You could just be firing off and forget and drop all that.
Yeah, like you could corrupt the whole thing and be like, well, it's all a side effect because I don't know how to deal with this one side effect.
Right.
And so you basically contain the side effect, the randomness, the entropy, I guess, and then that leaves predictability behind. And you're like, well, this is what we got to work with. So
And so the guarantee is that at this time, we called this external service, and it said this,
yeah.
and that is true.
Yeah, and there are ways to improve the repeatability of it because you could make that external call from multiple nodes and then like compare results and then be like, well, we the people are pretty sure, we the network are pretty sure that we got a reliable answer out of this service because we all said the same thing.
Right, and if that external service is also artifact based, then
if it's artifact based, then you might still have to treat it like a side effect if it was private, like if it did not share its internal state with you. True. Then you're just going to have to take its word for it. But that's just the deal with some governance arrangements. There may be some operations that you're not privy to. But the benefit of it coming in from an artifact service and an external artifact service is that it will come with a signature from the consensus mechanism, so that if it ever comes about that like you can be guaranteed that the response was genuine Whereas in a traditional API service, I mean, you can get the SSL cert back, but there was no consensus. You don't know that it was, signed by 9 out of 10 nodes because that sort of thing isn't there. And at the dark edge, that's very important. And so, whilst you may not know the internals of the computation, this is where the federated trust part comes in, because you're like, well, that's a consensus based result, and here's the proof. So if ever I want to have recourse, I can go and complain that, look, I got this is your chain is corrupted, you have become Byzantine, if they ever go back on it. But that's not something you can get out of a traditional service.
Yes, that's right. And there are other ways as well for critical functions of ensuring that they're not messing with it, not least contracts, out of band stuff. For example, if you're dealing with a bank, you just assume the bank is going to be dark inside, but is always going to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it's a bit of a flaw there.
But there's no way around that, because otherwise you'd have to, I don't know, take snapshots of.
There's plenty of ways around that. Like, there's ways with these systems to build transparent banks.
Yes. But for anything that's dark, as in you can't see the internals and they won't tell you.
Yeah, if there's some reason why and you accept that they won't show you the internals, then you may not be able to do the repeatability. But if it was an artifact service, you know that someone with the right authority, if you wave that ticket around, will be able to confirm the repeatability.
Yeah, but with artifact service, you also can say, at this time, I asked this of this service, and it responded this, and I can prove it did that. I don't know how it did it.
Yeah, you can also get that out of a traditional service as well. Like, for example, if you kept the SSL handshake, and you accept that server, if it holds the private key, then that is definitely the server. Yeah. Then you can get all of what you just listed out from a traditional service, but you won't be able to present that and at a later date and demand that they prove the repeatability of the calculation. You also won't have the guarantee that the calculation was subjected to consensus of any kind. It's like it's like a proof of authority thing. So but like opacity creates a side effect, and that's just how the world is, I guess. That's just information theory in a way.
Until everyone adopts an artifact style where you can roll back and repeat.
But you're still gonna want private stuff, right? And you need to treat private things as though it was a side effect. Like, you may never get to see inside some artifact operations, but
yeah. I mean, hypothetically, you could do it. It's just not going to happen,
right?
As in, the world is not going to flop over to. Even if you're a black box, you could have some kind of authority signature where you're saying, well, if we were to rerun.
Like that would be a much better way. Like, the regulator would have the right to run a witness node that could verify each of the transactions and stuff. And so if me got a receipt from this service, I should be able to take it to the regulator and be like, can you check this, please? And they would go in and check it. But at that point, you might as well have the regulator's signature on the commit signature.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's like real time verified by the regulator. That's
one of those standard, marks you get on.
I think that may be one of the greatest, like, untapped potentials of blockchain, because we always looked at it like party A doesn't trust party B and they're going to try and do something together. But actually, like, the regulator, like, the bank doesn't trust the client to see inside the bank. the regulator demands to see inside the bank, and the customer relies on the regulator to verify the bank. And so that's actually a perfect blockchain scenario where if the regulator and the bank were two politically separate, distrusting parties that both produced and signed a block, then the client is happy. They're like,
Yeah.
I've got a regulator approved interaction with this bank. And I've never heard that kind of a proposal made. Oh, well, I mean, at Interbit, we made a bunch of proposals like that, but I've never seen a system made that could leverage that balance of power, the imbalance between the regulator and the bank, and be like, well, you can express that relationship as a co-signed block on a blockchain.
It seems that's as good as it's ever going to get. I buy a
Can't get any
microwave
better.
from a manufacturer. I don't know how he built that microwave, but I do know that microwaves need an approval rating,
Yeah, a
and
cert.
I can see the approval rating on the side. So
Yeah,
I'm happy.
that's right.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that's a big potential thing. You know, like I'd even like to see it coming back from the AI model generations. It's like there should be a regulator for AI models to make sure that it wasn't being used to subvert me or my user base, that it was genuinely and fairly run, and the regulator should stamp it.
Yeah.
You know, and then I get back a thing that's signed by OpenAI and the regulator, and I'm like, this was a true and fair model run of GPT 7.5.
Yeah, exactly. And you can pass that back upstream, and whoever is using
Yeah, you
the
can pass it
service that you're
along, right?
providing, you're
Yeah,
saying, I've taken all reasonable steps to make
yeah,
sure that this is
yeah.
doing what
In
it
the
needs to.
meantime, I'd say there might be a pretty good market for being a disinterested, trusted intermediary, where you can you make the API call to OpenAI and you stamp it with two things. The first is this was genuinely from OpenAI, and then the consuming apps can pass that around and be like, yep, we got it. And I actually think that that's a crucial part or a stepping stone for autonomous companies, because a regulated gateway that's watching all the AI calls and can prove it, so that you could, like, what the fuck am I saying? If you can't, at the moment, the best models are not able to be run on chain. They're run privately. But so we need a legal entity that brokers between the off-chain models and the on-chain governance, by being the bridge that says, we made this call out to OpenAI and we hereby verify that it came from them, and then that goes in to the chain. They act like this little junction point where the side effect comes into chain land.
You're right. You're right.
That's useful. The second thing they can stamp it with,
That is useful. That's actually a really good idea.
the second thing they can stamp it with is averageness or normalcy, where you can say that we've watched a million different calls go through, and this call that just came back from OpenAI fits within the parameters of an expected result.
So a variance.
Yeah.
If that variance is low enough, it would be, again, reasonably certain
Yeah.
that nothing weird's going on.
Right, because first of all, OpenAI could have genuine faults. Like, remember when we started using one of those models and it just like spat out random fucking characters, and we're like,
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah.
right. And then, but second of all, which is important, especially if you're running a fucking governance application and you're like, are you sure this thing's working right? Like, is the chairman drunk? But second of all, there's I think a very real danger, and it'll happen sooner or later, and then everyone will consider this feature important, is that you could be played severely by an AI response if you trust what comes back. Like if someone hacked into one of the data centers that runs the model and they knew that this model was in charge of like this bank account, and then it was like, should I pay Ahmed $5 million? And then the corrupted person is like, yes, indeed you should, and here's the reasons. And then you're like, what? Like, who's gonna deal with these problems?
Well, it's like a power breaker for AI calls, because
Yeah,
as the one calling, you have history of calls. I've made this
yeah,
call 100,000
yeah,
times,
yeah.
and then 100,001, it's like, that's weird.
That's right. But
Very
setting up a
dramatic.
system to monitor that, first of all, your average consumer doesn't have enough calls to get enough statistics, but a
Yeah,
gateway would. And
yeah,
second of all, the expertise and effort to set that up and keep it up to date with the latest developments, that also requires effort. So it's better as an external service. This provides the perfect juncture point for me to go into the company proposal I'd like to make to you.
right. And the variance might not be a bad one. It might be that the
No,
model's just got a lot better overnight and you didn't notice.
right. That's right. That's right.
But what it does do is set a breakpoint saying, oh, right, things have changed.
It's a check. And I imagine soon there will be regulation that requires you to be responsible with what you put an AI in charge of. This thing could certify that.
Yes, yeah, yeah, because if you're relying on an external AI service and you've got a whole process there and you are selling that service, you can't blindly take what the AI says.
You
You've
can't.
got a checkpoint that
You can't.
says, whoa,
And
is there a difference?
demonstrating your own checkpoint would be really painful and it would slow you down. Whereas
Yeah,
a service that was just like, call us the old farts, raining on your parade.
yeah, but also you've got liability in that if you're using an external service to tell you when weirdness is happening, or even to put a delay on it, saying, "Hey, I'm going to delay this call just
Mm,
for a couple hours until someone tells me whether this is okay." If you've got that external service doing that for you, then that external service can get insurance, and so if it does turn out to fuck you up, upstream, uh, you're not on the hook for it.
yep,
Um, hmm. That's a meaty one. That's a good one.
that's a good one. I would like to
Is
juncture
that
into the company proposal then, if I may. This is perfect.
yeah? Go for it.
So, the backstory. As you know, it is a contentious issue who holds the DNS keys in a company. And
Yes.
DNS hosters, like that can really fuck your company if someone goes rogue with the DNS and you're like, man,
Okay, stop it in its tracks.
yeah, yeah. And so it also there is no way, it's very difficult to have a DNS provider that gives you some kind of a some kind of consensus or like multi-party, multi-sig requirement on doing an operation. There's a number of reasons for that. Number one is like multi-sig requires very explicit actions, and it can be quite cumbersome to make a API that does that. Like you need to make it now generic across all DNS providers and yada yada yada. Like it's just
I've never
not,
seen one do that. It's always just you're a trusty super admin. Crack on.
because it's really easy, right? And like it's fucking hard and to split up votes, right? So
Yeah.
now the same applies for many, many, many individual super admin services like Twitter, Facebook, yada yada yada, right?
Yep.
So there's multiple parts to this company proposal, but it's basically saying that we should start a company that offers to be contractually the real world agent of virtual agents or AI. It's like the real world, the actor or the real world tool call of an AI, because that can do things that are trusted as well. Like you would hand over your Twitter account to this company who would sign an agreement with you, either personally or with your entity that you represent, to say, here's the Twitter keys. We'll keep them safe. We'll cycle the passwords. We'll store it in the right place, and all that. And we'll allow you to tell us the rules for how you want the Twitter account used. Like, do I need sign off from these 5 people or 4 or 5 or things like that? What's the successor rules if someone dies, or like, it's all these basic life admin things that always become a problem, and it's just, we'll handle all that. So that's step 1, or feature 1. Feature 2 is that, as we've said many times, there's no difference between a human and a AI agent making calls. So why not make it so that this company has just a natural language interface in, like an MCP server, where the company, if it passes credentials, it can do things like, what services can you do? And it's like, hi, I see you've authenticated enough to read what's in the real world agent store. I can post to Twitter. I can delete posts from Twitter. I can blah, blah, blah. I can blah, blah. Then there's things like, great, I want to make a new post. and someone's like, I think I don't need to waste your time with that explanation. But basically, it's like a way that we can manage real world single party things and allow them to be controlled in a multi-party or a governance controlled fashion. Like, hey, we need the company directors need to vote to shut down the Twitter account or something like that. So that's feature number 2 of, I think, 4.
Can I pause on that?
Sure.
But just to reinforce it, it's very reminiscent of what the nuclear firing chain was like. Despite what people think, you can't actually, have a brain fart as a prime minister or president and fire off the nuclear, missiles. There are a number of checks along the way, which involves basically veto.
Yeah.
Which is a vote.
Oh, right. Okay. So great.
Two-man control.
Great. I'm now going to go into step number 3, which was veto, because how many times and how much damage can one rogue drunk employee who has access to the Twitter account do to a company? Right. Significant. And so just
I got a few stories on that one. Yes.
Yeah. So just exactly what I was talking about with this this gateway node in the banking scenario, or the variance detection on making a call to OpenAI and stating that it happened, right? So this this one same company, I don't know how to name all these features bundled together. They feel like one and the same feature. It's like gatewaying, but as I'm trying to explain, there's a lot of different ways to look at the gatewaying, but it feels very much the fucking same each time. So I'm sure we can come up with a nice name for it. But it
sounds like firing chain to me. But anyway, go on.
Okay.
You end up with an action, but there are a number of steps.
Yeah. That I would say firing chain would cover half of the situation. The other half is step number 4, which is to say that we can do things for you that haven't been done before or that you haven't asked for. So you could ask in natural language, hey, I want to send a t-shirt. I want to send a postcard to this address, right? You want to have a real world activity happen, and we can try and make that happen. We're like, oh, here's the price, here's the deal, blah blah blah. And so being able to request things to be, first of all, our API can be natural language, where you're like, I want to post to Twitter, and it's like, oh, okay, here you go. Because it makes no difference whether the AI assistant is running on our side of the fence or the company side of the fence. They can talk to us in, the API is very fluid. It's like, I want to post to Twitter. Okay, what do you want to say? I want to say, fuck the police. And then you're like, our side, the variance detector or the rules checker, the semantic firewall says, nah, like, first of all, you need 2 people to sign off on that. But second of all, the foundational rules or the purpose of what this account's being used for prohibit this type of thing. See Article C156, right? And so it's not just a gateway, but it's like a veto or a semantic firewall to make sure that, first of all, there's consensus-based voting, but that's sort of a pain in the ass if you just need people to get things done. It also acts as a sense checker. It's like either your AI went rogue or your employee went rogue. I mean, who cares which one? They both have these same characteristics. And we can run certified systems that are like, nah, mate, like this, our system, we charge you money for us to be correct all the time. And we can gain certifications and whatever certs we need and sell that to people so that they can sit their services, they can YOLO it all they like, they can vibe code till the cows come home, but we sit there and be the boring old men that just, or regulators that just go, nope.
That's a really interesting point 4 you've got there. So take a prominent and important Twitter account, and you don't want the entire chain having to vote on every single tweet that goes out.
No.
But if a tweet is basically in the theme of previous tweets,
yeah,
variance is very low, just send it. If it gets edgy, maybe go 1 level up.
Yeah, because that variance detection, it works for AI models. It also works for humans. You're no, absolutely. Tone is off, theme is off.
You're just going up the chain of command, and it's like, well, I need my boss to sign off on this.
Right. It's like, it's smart. Like, it's smart warnings. It's like, that doesn't seem right. I need one more person.
Yeah, and then the boss might say, I need my boss to sign off for this one because
we just
said, let's nuke North Korea.
And it's like, if one of those people doesn't stop it or kill it, like basically it's like a safety checker for the knowledge that, or the publication that your company makes. And so the initial form of the company would really just be to do that. But really what I realized today was that you could treat the whole, you could define the Dreamcatcher protocol, where I know we don't have a good, clear definition, but the Dreamcatcher protocol goes something like, I use some apps, be that assistants, agents, UI, whatever. I discover more apps. I get stuck using them. I pay and get paid. And that's sort of the Dreamcatcher protocol. I realized that whole thing can just be set up as an MCP service. Because it's just like, you're like, create a stuck. Okay. What was in the stuck? Oh, this was in the stuck. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Discover me a new app. Okay. What do you want it to do? This. Okay. Well, it's probably these. And so the whole thing can be defined by these sort of fuzzy interfaces, but they're still quite distinct. Like discovery of new naps is not the same as discovery of stux or creation of stux.
Right. So if you had a large project, let's make it ludicrous. You've got a molecular printer project, and you've got a billion to put next to it. You don't want to be
Cheeky
long
Billy.
screwdriving every small decision at the base level. So some decisions don't need to be approved. Just do it.
Right.
The bigger the decision, the further up this chain goes. Now, some of that chain could well be AIs, and the AIs are looking for variance and saying, well, here's what we're trying to do. Yeah, it's reasonable that you've asked for a 3D printer, so we'll just buy it. And it doesn't go up. And there are rules saying, are you still in budget? Yeah, you're still in budget. Are you still in task? Yes, this is directly to do with the task. Just do it.
Like that's chain of command with decision making.
AI is making decision making based on variance to what the original intent was.
Right. That's great. I think that's great too. But the company service that I was talking about making was the variance between at the final time when it becomes time to do the thing in the real world. It's like the last mile. It's like, is the ignition switch on the ICBM going to be triggered? That's where I'm suggesting we set this company, and that it can be used to interact with the Dreamcatcher protocol to create stux where people come in and they try to do something with their Twitter account, and it's like, I see what you're trying to do. We don't have an app for that. Let me create a stuck and get back to you. So I guess what I'm getting at is that can I jump to something different? I'm so sorry to be jumping around. I promise you there's a theme here, but it's just
I'm following it. I think it's a good theme.
So what I did today, right? Because I've been deep in the UI world with this interface for the chat, and I am very happy with where we're sitting. I can't get across enough how much of a relief it is to finally have a stable platform up for us to work with and on, and I am using it every day, and I'm loving it. I'm actually loving it. So I have to make changes to that platform, and then I produce preview deployments before I push them to the real, to the production deployment on Dreamcatcher.ai. And so today it struck me that the new agent mode of ChatGPT, I should go to it and say, I want you to go here, log in, and then I want you to find 5 UI bugs that need fixing and create issues on the project GitHub repo.
Okay.
All right. And so, pretty good. So here's how it played out.
Fascinating. I do like this new feature as well. It just, I don't know, allows you to see exactly what's going on.
Yeah, so it's going around. It like it went to the GitHub thing. It poked around in the assistant chats.
Oh, that's neat. That's nice. You
changed the role. Like, it's basically like what I can see coming is that this agent is the UI tester. It's like the QA of the system. But the reason why it struck me that the Dreamcatcher protocol should just be an MCP server too is that you could jack in this agent and it can be firing off stux while it's working, just using the protocol.
Yep.
And
those stux could go to other AIs to fix.
Well, yeah, because once it goes into the network, then it's a stuck and it triggers off all kinds of things that cause it to be fixed. And so the gateway in might as well just be yet another MCP server or a portion of an MCP server. So, and we could, if we set it up that way, then if we made this little company and someone came to us, like we kind of want the company to expand into the do anything company, where if you ask us to do something in the physical world and we can't do it, we'll use the Dreamcatcher protocol to figure it out, or something nearby. And so this company would allow us to use the Dreamcatcher protocol for physical problems and for like one-off problems, like I need a sandwich, or all these kinds of things. And that same protocol, like, here's all these point requests, these point stucks, like, I'm hungry, I need a ham sandwich, I'm hungry, I need an ice cream. And then it's like, maybe it's a great place to put a food cart right there, because all these things are happening at that point in time, at this moment. It's a very trivial example, but it just feels like if we can make a gateway company where the purpose is we're going to interact with the real world for you in ways that are trustworthy, legally binding, and have these AI sense checkers to make sure that nothing wild has happened before you told us to do it, to maintain your respectability, your dignity, then there's no reason why that can't expand out to be a way to let APIs ask for anything to happen in the world. Like, I want a battleship. You're like, okay. How much money you got? Like, the agent, I don't know how to name it properly, but it's like a portal from the AI world into the real world. And there's no reason why it can't be open-ended. Like, you want us to do, like, how many companies out there are currently like, I've got this API, okay, cool. Then they're like, I've got this AI, but I wish it could send postcards for real. And then they're like, oh, go talk to the anything gateway. And then it comes in and it comes back with a price, and it might be that, we'll just do it by hand for starters. We're like, here's the price for by hand, because we use this market of workers who put their hands up to do various things. They reckon they can do these postcards. It'll cost you $2 a shot. And then someone would be like, that's cool. Someone else would be like, we can optimize that. It can be 50 cents if we did it this other way, blah, blah. So I'm just trying to get at the fact that this gateway, this portal into the real world, can be a stepping stone for us to be of great service to all the AI systems and people who just want to automate how they do things in the world. And we can take advantage of this newfound ability to have open-ended natural language APIs that are effectively the same as making a fucking telephone call or sending a fax or an email. But suddenly it's like it was triggered autonomously by the company's AI to ask you to do something. But without that service there, where would the company go? They're like,
Pausing. Okay, so taking the entire stack of your 4, here's a scenario. See if it breaks or works. I'm in charge of logistics for the Ukraine.
mm-hmm.
I got a bunch of directives. We want to, reinforce Donbass. We don't really care about Lysychansk or Crimea right now. And you give this service for units on the front line to request supplies.
Units on the front line request supplies.
We need another 50 drones, and they happen to be in this location.
Okay.
A bit like an Amazon, but it's like, right, I need 50 drones. Um, and it would not only be able to trigger those 50 drones, but also be able to see whether sending 50 drones to that location is sensible, because maybe that's not their priority and maybe they've only got 100 left in stock, for example. And so it goes up the chain, decision making, triggers that looks for variance. It's like, hold a second, last week you asked for 5 and you asked for 50. What's going on here? Or last week you asked for 2,000, you're asking for 50. Weird. But also it allows you to bring in the rules around, well, generally speaking, we want to send more stuff to this area, not that area right now. Does that model that you just described break at any point for that effectively on-demand logistics in a war zone?
No, it does not. But they wouldn't go through our company to do that.
No, I'm just talking about the
Obviously.
process.
Yeah, but the process, what that means is that it might actually be valuable to supply these gatekeeping services at different points in the decision chain, even if it's not to do a physical thing. So, like, that wouldn't be part of the physical gateway company. That would be just maybe part of the software suite that we can supply. But it's really saying that we allow you to iterate quickly by providing you these multi-stage firewalls, because in a vessel like a Navy vessel, there's multiple firewalls throughout the ship to stop fires at not just one point. Like, I mean, if half the ship's on fire because you only got one firewall, that's not, you're sort of screwed. But we would sell like certified sense checkers that look at things like variance and rules and whatever, and make sure that the decisions haven't been made rashly or wrong. But then that's sort of separate to the intelligence that would be used to load balance between. Like, we'd be providing a filtration system that said that the request was legitimate, reasonable, made sense, etc. And then separately, there'd be a decision-making process that would whir away based on all the cleaned requests to then say, well, what's the best thing to actually do? And then there'd be another trigger on when it finally pushed the physical order through.
Yeah, right.
Does that? I feel like I didn't exactly answer your question, but
no, you did. If I understood you correctly, it's very similar to there's a doctrine called command control, which sounds very centralized, but it's actually the opposite. What it means is you push the decision making as low as possible and as low as responsible. Is only when you start to impact on the higher picture that it needs to go up the chain. If it doesn't, you're within your rights to do whatever you want, and your decision-making process is that much faster because of it. If you see a target of opportunity, for example, and it doesn't break the overall strategy of the campaign, then you crack on and you do it. You don't have to ask anyone to do it. If for some reason it does hit on the strategy, maybe it's going to reveal a position of someone else, then no, you're not. So it's a very similar decision-making process.
Yeah, right. It's this concept of like an adversarial gatekeeper that can act as a black box and can also stop anyone's bright ideas.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And, also stop fuck-ups. Maybe, some dude is falling asleep on his keyboard and is trying to order 2 million drones.
Right, push the wrong button. Because that happens.
Yeah. And because of the variance thing, and because of the escalation thing, and because of the fact that if it all looks normal and all looks reasonable, it triggers automatically. You're getting safeguards as well as agility.
Safety and speed.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I think that works good. I just in that scenario, I know you were giving it for its thought experiment merits, but it that's not. We could supply a prototype for that system, but that's really not for us to make that like the level of surety you would need for that system is an inefficient use of our time at this stage, I think.
Yes, I'm not suggesting we make it, but it's interesting to see how robust the
Right.
process
The
is
the
against that.
concept, right? Like these
Because you
semantic
can,
firewalls are going to be a big deal.
I mean, semantic firewalls, fuzzy firewalls, basically you're saying you can accept fuck ups, but don't fuck up too much.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you trigger this firewall and it will
Right.
stop you.
Yeah, right. And it's just like triggering outliers that are just like basic sense checks. And
Yeah,
normally putting a person in the way adds delay, costs money, and causes frustration. But if it's a bot, the bot's like, mate, that you've gone off the fucking rails. Like
yeah.
that
And
makes no sense.
the opposite is, again, on the military thing, is centralized command, where every decision needs to go up
Yeah.
the chain. Here's an interesting example. One of the things that was dogging the building of the Panama Canal, which I've been reading about recently, is that every expenditure, hiring a cart, buying a donkey, had to go all the way up, all the
Right.
way back to Washington,
Right. Oh god.
and it just stuck it. Now, you that is obviously bad, but the opposite is what you don't want is some rogue guy going off and you know buying or um, asking to be designed and built an entirely new steam digger that doesn't exist yet,
Yeah. Yeah.
busting the thing. It's like, dude, what are
Dude.
you doing?
Wait.
Never asked for one of those. Doesn't exist. Semantic firewalls.
Yeah.
It's kind of what people do in a chain of command
That's right.
already, but
That's right.
it's
That's right.
not
But this is
automated.
explicit. This separates out the I'm the down in the dumps raining on your parade, making sure that you're always sensible, versus I'm the enthusiastic, give anything a go, happy go lucky chap.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is you can also interrogate it. It's like, no, I really need this steam engine.
Right.
Kind of talk to the
Yeah.
agent
So
who's
as
said
a
no.
side note, I think there's also value to provide when the semantic firewall trips, you could do basic checks on people, like assessing if they're drunk or not by just talking to them, asking them questions, and getting them to right because
It's like, you sure?
yeah,
It's
I came
11
on
p.m. on a Friday. You're asking for this?
with this idea to that we built for a geothermal company to let people into the site. They had to be shown the hazards of the day, and then to confirm that they'd seen it, I made them enter a PIN because you had to look at the board to get the PIN to allow you the door to open so you could go onto the site. But with a semantic test, you could use an AI interrogator to have a quick little chat with someone and be like, are they on the ball? Do they sound right? You know, like, what's their mental capacity at? What's the tone of their voice? Are they stressed? Are they hungry? Are they tired? Are they slurry? Give them some quick little mental games. So, like, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 5. You know, like, all these kinds of funny questions.
It's interesting. So that's a capacity test.
Mental capacity, yeah. Fitness test. And if you can't pass it, then health and safety kicks in and you're not allowed on the site to operate the heavy machinery that might kill people. So,
Yeah. And also, because it's fuzzy in natural language, you can add all sorts into there.
yeah.
It's like Bob's wife just left him last night, and now he's, riding this pile driver.
Yeah, right? Or flying a 787. So, yeah. Anyway, I was going to. That was the company. I think it can be formed very, very quickly. Its first role would be to manage the credentials of the project that I was telling you about earlier, so that they were managed in a rules-based way. And I just want to draw your attention to a company called Hootsuite.
I know Hootsuite,
yeah, I went to their offices in Vancouver, and $350 million for their annual revenue, and it seems like kind of all they do is really help you sort of manage all your multiple channels.
I've used it. They're quite good.
Yeah.
You can time,
Yeah,
channels.
but now that we have AI, we could give you every one of these features for a fraction of the effort it took Hootsuite to make them. Plus, we can give you this governance-based layer that's like need to sign off, plus semantic firewalling.
It doesn't seem that hard, to be honest. But it also seems quite valuable, doesn't it? It's like
easy but valuable. Those are good things.
Who is charged over, real Donald Trump's Twitter account or
Right.
Truth Social? It's I'm guessing that a lot of people wake up in the morning going, "Shit, what the fuck just happened?"
Yeah. But see, like this type of system, there's no way to control those channels without having an entity manage them.
Yes.
Right? And that entity, usually, there's an extra... Sorry,
go on.
You go.
Yeah, it's usually a person, right? It's usually a marketer.
Yeah, it's usually like one person, right? And so you can imagine that. I guess all I'm desperately trying to get at is that I can see this gateway being a component in a lot of other things, because then on top of that, you could start to build other services independent of the company. Like the company itself doesn't need to do bugger all except be the physical portal. But then you could build on top of it something like the marketing campaign managing tool that we were speaking about several nights ago, and integrate it with this, semantic firewall management of the media channels, as well as like getting the respectable or governance-led control of those socials, so it's not just one person who holds the password or someone's like written it in a spreadsheet on the server so everyone can access it, and then it gets taken over by some kid, or they install some new chatbot that a mate of theirs built and it just goes rogue, posting anti-Semitic statements all over the place. That like we can do what Hootsuite did, but we can do it with extra features, and we can offer it unbundled so that it can be plugged into DAOs, and we can make it so that you can ask it to do more. Like the world is changing from these companies that do one thing, do it well, to these companies that do a little bit of everything, just depends on what you ask. Like,
You're right.
The common theme of this company is physical world action. And you can ask it for anything. That's what the company is.
Well, it doesn't have to be physical as in, stuff in real world. It is anything of consequence, actions of consequence.
Actions of consequence, that's right, which can be physical or digital, and can be tricky, contentious, highly private, anything like that.
I think it just popped into my mind, which is quite funny. You could run Wikipedia from a server without any of the great network that they've got around them, because you got a Wikipedia page and someone goes in there and edits it. Is it contentious? So very fluffy, and needs someone to go in and say,
right.
I'm gonna
right. So you're saying like you could greatly decrease the burden of Wikipedia by using these semantic firewalls to guard it.
Yeah.
Mr. Maxwell, isn't the semantic firewall really the component that decides whether the ambient attribution agent's knowledge base is expanded or not?
Yes. It could be done without it, but it's going to be much stronger with it.
It could be done without it. It's kind of like a way to componentize the ambient attribution agent, because you're like, it's got this gatekeeper processing node, this gatekeeping stage in the workflow that looks at stuff and goes, yes, no, you've lost your marbles, I'm going to let that through or not. And then it's got this other thing that's sort of trying to be smart, trying to figure stuff out. You know, the gateway is just this dumb, blunt guard that's like, papers, please. And then this other thing's this wildly intelligent thing that has a greater chance of actually going astray because of the size of its brain, the amount of information it's got to take in, all of that. And so really, those two as a pair, an adversarial pair, are essential to the safe operation of any continuously improving agent, which is really what we're talking about with the ambient attribution agent, is like, because its knowledge base continually grows based on everything it interacts with, you need a gatekeeper to say when it can come in or not, being separate from the thing that tries to put stuff in.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. One raises the red flag,
Yeah.
and then okay, this is going to need
Yeah.
thought.
Like, one's got
And
the
then-
temperature setting way down, and it's like,
Yeah.
don't want to know.
Yeah.
Like, and the
Yeah.
other one's
Well,
all,
Let me ask my boss.
yeah.
You
And what
wait
that
here.
what that means for us is it means that we can make the grower or the adapter, the learner, the ambient attribution agent learner module, we can YOLO it much more, because if we just take our sweet time to get the gatekeeper right, we can iterate more quickly on the learner, because the burden's removed from us. That's the benefit of this service that I'm providing that I'm proposing with these semantic firewall pieces, is that they greatly reduce the responsibility and the care and the slowdowns you got to go through for your AI apps, because it's got a safety zone, it's got a sandbox, it's got containment. You know, it's running in a container that limits the damage it can do, which means that you can go for your life. You have to care less about, like, if you've got access to the bare metal server, your program better come correct. But if it's running in a Docker container with a very, very uncaring, unsympathetic hypervisor, you can kind of be a little bit more gung-ho, because you're like, well, I'm not going to take the whole server down, am I? So why spend the time going over those tests?
Yes, you're right.
So it's appearing like the generalized structure of what an agent has to be effective and to be iterated quickly, but to be safe, is coming into view.
This is a real half-arsed thought, but it does remind me of Darwinism. So we've got variability, inheritability, and an adversarial environment. Three things that you need in order to have.
Like this is the
improvement in
fitness function.
It's a half-arsed thought, but it just
Yeah, you're right.
feels
It's
similar.
kind of the fitness function, huh?
Yeah, it's like you can allow more chaos, so long as you kill, the real wild,
Yeah.
deviations. You got
Yeah.
3 legs. Nobody wants that.
No.
You're dead.
So, the way I think about Darwinism and code now is that the hereditary nature is the Git history. Like, each new commit inherits all of the stuff that came before.
Yep.
The variations is provided by the contributions that attempt to all the current forks of contribution that have happened.
Yep.
And the selection is like that one's a little fuzzy for me, but it's basically like usage is the ultimate selection. Testing by an agent is a form of adversarial testing, like where you've got the operator that I just showed you running as the QA on it,
Yeah.
is a form of adversality. But yeah, that's as far as I got in my thinking here. I'm getting pretty excited these days, dude.
I'm actually really pumped by this. I'm really
Yeah.
pumped by this because you can imagine a structure where it's agents all the way up,
Yeah.
using these red flags and go to the boss, and we're going to churn over more, but there's going to be more to consider, and so there's NLYs is perhaps fuzzier. It's like, okay, another red trigger. This is way out, and then it can kill it. That sounds a lot like evolutionary cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
For
think
ideas.
if we yeah, and for software. And so if we have actually hit upon a model that is very close to like an optimized form of evolution, but just without the sheer blundering of nature. Like nature's process is like
Oh, it's hugely wasteful, but incredibly good at it. The only thing with nature is its cycle time is a bit
but
long.
it's got nothing but time. 350 million
Yeah.
years, blink of an
Yeah.
eye. Who cares, right? We don't have that long. So basically, we're taking intellect, which appears to be like this weird force of nature that like you can actually make intellect that can almost like overcome physics in a way. Like it can optimize more than what just raw genes and cells can do. Like smarts lets you take these massive shortcuts around evolution. If we've made a system that can help evolve intelligence better or quicker with none of the losses, that's a massive winner, I think.
The interesting thing is, before I've been a big advocate of defining intent, but in this cycle, which is inherently dynamic, intent can change. And sure, you'll get a whole bunch of red flags and blah, 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 but as long as you've got enough chaos coming in at the bottom,
Right.
as in enough ideas,
Yeah.
then it will reorientate around wherever you want to point the intent.
Right. So I think at the start, when we first thought of the Dreamcatcher or were told about it and built on it, we hadn't really thought about AI wasn't really a believable thing back then. Like if someone told me
Yeah.
about Grok 4 back in 2019 when I registered Dreamcatcher.ai, I'd be like, nah. Like that's just not possible. Right? And now here we are, and I use it every day. All day, every day, right? So I started to ask some questions. Like, there's no question that we need to make sure we are aware of how our system relates to evolution, because evolution is natural, and it's always going to be the rules. So you better fit in or not,
it's,
right?
It's got a logical headlock.
Yeah. And so then I started to think about, okay, well, evolution is inescapable. It means that it's happening all around us now. And we know the obvious examples like venture capital and the startup crash, try, fail, all that stuff, right? And people talk about that like it's a form of evolution, and it is, but it too, wildly inefficient.
Very long cycle time.
Long cycle, wasteful, right? And you're like, well, then I started saying, well, so I've always been fascinated with the Carnot cycle, right? Which is where you watch different forms of engine working and you chart them, and they indicate to you that there's a theoretical maximum efficiency that any heat engine can perform at, which is unattainable. But if you know the ideal, it greatly helps you measure where you are in the efficiency race, I guess.
Yeah, calibrates.
Yeah, it orients you or grounds you.
And so I was like, where are the gains coming from that we seek to achieve with this platform? And it has to be in the fact that what we're trying to do is take every stage of the software development lifecycle and automate the connections between those stages, as well as contain them in a single platform, as well as insert AIs to assist in the intelligence and the time and quality that each stage happens, because the software development lifecycle is a loop, just like nature, just like evolution. And so I was like, figure out all these things for me, and then I also want to know what the theoretical upper limit is, like a Kano engine. What are
Oh,
the
right.
things that,
That's interesting. Huh?
like, if we could say, you and I have always said we need to make innovation faster around the world. It's too slow. Okay, let's go the other way. What's the maximum possible speed of innovation, and what parameters does it depend upon? And I feel like we can see that better now that we've got AIs, because we're like, well, if an AI is this, then innovation rate should be this. And when I look at the innovation rate, I don't instinctively, I'm like, it doesn't fit where AIs are now. The innovation rate should be way, way higher now that we've got intelligence on board. But
Yeah, there's too many people in the way. That's why.
right, but also there's no automated platform, and so it would be nice to be able to set up an agent that watches out and goes hunting for innovation networks, because I think they're starting to form. Like this thing in Ukraine that made the audio sensor grid is an innovation network of sorts, and I'm like, they're kind of like they're starting to like crawl out of the primordial ooze. And if we turned up with an automation system for those innovation networks, that just goes like the
Yeah, you want to bet those guys are basically doing it over signal
WhatsApp
text to each other.
chatting and whatever, right? So what was cool when it came out was oh, this is quite a cool feature of the platform. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with this diagram, but it's cool that you can just like have a diagram in the middle of a chat. You're like, oh, here's a picture.
Nice, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's lossy couplings is really what we're trying to capture, right? Like when the coupling.
That, then?
What?
Second. I was just asking for a definition. I've never heard that.
A lossy coupling?
Yeah.
Like, well, if you think about issue filing, triage, code dev, like how much is lost before an issue even gets filed, right? Because there's no automated issue filing. It relies on
signal to noise ratio, basically.
Not quite. It's like a power loss before you even got going. Like if you've got a steam engine and the pipe from the boiler to the piston is very lossy,
right.
There comes a point where the engine doesn't even work because the loss is so great.
Right, or transmission losses.
Transmission losses, yeah, transmission losses. That's really what one of the major losses is. Then there was, like, obviously deduplication, like that's another one, wasted duplicate effort. There's the cost of delay as well. Like there's something, I still don't know how to express it cleanly, but delay costs more than just the time. Like it's like all the other things you missed out on because you took a little bit longer. It amplified how much you missed out on for everything else.
Oh yeah, I mean there's a perfect example with that in Ukraine, right? I think we talked about this about 3 weeks ago. If you can iterate 5% faster than the enemy, you're going to win. You're just going to win.
Yeah, but it's not. You're not going to win by 5%. You're going to win by like 300%. That's sort of the thing I'm trying to get at.
You're going to win by all.
Yeah, or like if you're following someone in a car, and then you just miss the light and now you're delayed a little bit, you're going to get delayed a lot more than just that, because now you're going to catch other lights that you lose
Yeah.
potentially. And it's like it's a compounding effect of delays between transmission. It's almost like a form of loss because the information decays. Like, you're also losing the fact that because you hadn't fixed it, how many other people walked away from your app or didn't use it because it was in this suboptimal state for longer than it needed to be. Like, that fucks everything up. That fucks your revenue, which is your ultimate fitness test. It's just like, it's so bad. The delay is I think underestimated in terms of the absolute crushing force it enacts on any innovation project. Is any kind of delay is just
I
savage.
agree, because and you used the right word for that. It's compound,
Yeah.
and you can't ever beat a race where someone's got even a fraction faster cycle time than you.
A fraction faster compound is a way, way, way worse thing. Yeah. And then the last one seemed to be, human bottlenecks, right? So humans in the loop are just, why are they even there? Like,
yeah, that's a sub part of time delays. I mean, even if there was no humanly in the loop.
Well, I guess the humans are the reason why you have information loss and time delays. Right? Like, they are the cause. I guess you could say then that our platform was in its starkest form about removing humans from the software development life cycle, other than at single points, like helping with a particular piece of code and everything else.
And wait a second. There's a thing there. Humans are important, but they important because if you take the Darwinism variation step, they add in chaos. They add in new stuff.
They're the ultimate fitness test, and issue filing is just reporting on the fitness results. Nature doesn't need a report filed when a bear eats a salmon.
I love that.
And so
it's like my memo will be in on Monday. Sorry, it's Friday. The bear's eating a fish.
Right, and then also, like, there's another kind of inefficiency that's not mentioned here. There's not mentioned here, which is the translation cost. Because for me to file an issue, I now have to recreate the issue. I have to write down what happened. I have to tell you what I was trying to do. Like, I gotta...
That's also part of the same kind of conceptual structure we're getting here. That is a loss of context.
Context loss. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So that's really missing from here, eh? Like, we should add in context loss as, like... so. But I guess that you could say that the lossy coupling is like context loss in the coupling. So the passing of information is leaking context, diffusing context on its way through, and that's why it's coming back. There's also things like poor decision making, like not choosing to listen to the reasonable issue that was probably the best one to fix.
Well, that can be partly offset by parallel branches, right?
No, not necessarily. Like, that's different, because like a human manager will make choices that are suboptimal for what the team should work on. Doesn't matter that anyone else was working on it at once. What I'm saying is that when a human chooses wrong.
Yes, that's true. But the point being, it needs to make a choice.
Yep.
Whereas if you could fork a company into 100 companies at snap of your fingers, and then see.
Oh, right. That's a different. I get what you're saying. That's a different limit. Again, that's a new limit, which is the limit on how many parallel branches any coordinated team can take. The humans can only really, to be honest, going down more than one is quite challenging.
Yeah.
Um,
It never really happens.
yeah. So, but so this is like you're able to increase the variation. So the current process relies on a whole new company to be that second development branch, third, fourth, fifth. But
Yeah.
here they can be done with full view of each other because they're simulated. They're in AI.
Exactly.
And
if
so
you
the
can search
variation
to,
rate,
you can search to n. The bigger the n, the better in terms
yeah,
of
because you
time delay or
in
reduction of time delay.
Darwinism, you increase the variation rate. So when you
Yeah.
look at like nature and how does nature evolve quickly, like the fastest evolution rate is like viruses and antibodies.
Yeah.
And the innovation rate goes up because the variance rate goes up because the pieces are very small.
Exactly.
And the trial time is in seconds, like it's a very, very,
right. Okay.
you know,
total cycle time.
trial time. So trial time goes through the roof when when you saw what I just showed you with an agent doing the QA on the UI, like that's
Right,
way
but
better
did you
cycle
notice
time.
you said give me 5 things there? Now, how about you give 1,000? Okay, so
Yeah,
that is another number which
the
to come back to
variation rate.
your thesis about what is the optimum. The optimum would be an infinite number.
No, I don't think so because it's definitely more than one. It's
Yeah.
definitely more than two. But there's a that kind of curve where it's like
There's a
there's a peak.
recombination. There's a
Yeah, because there's a
cycle time.
there's a selection cost as well. Like when there's too many.
Then the time to take the decide what the best.
It's also not, you're not free of time and you're not free of energy and resource consumption. Like infinite means infinite resources and infinite time, but you don't have those. So in a world where it's never going to be zero to run a variation branch, and so I think actually the parameter that matters is the cost and the time of the variation branch, and then that determines what's your optimal number.
Well, it seems like if we chart this on a graph, there seems to be an intersection point.
Yeah, there's a funny kind of a relationship, eh? Like just from gut instinct, it feels like maybe around the 50 mark.
I don't know what the number is, and it might vary. But the number of parallel variations that you can test, the cost of it, and the time it takes to.
I think it also depends on difficulty. So, like, you could find that by running more variation branches, you're not getting any more differences, and so you know that when your duplication rate goes up, when your duplication rate goes up as the number of variances goes up, then you're like, oh no, there's no point.
Well, yeah, absolutely, and you'd see that in a convergence graph, right?
Yeah. So it depends on the difficulty of the problem, but it definitely gets to a point where the duplication cancels out the variation, and that's your optimum number.
Right, which is assurance.
You're sure that you got it. You're sure that you got it because of the number of duplications you were getting.
Right.
Because we see that in the model now, right? Like if we get different answers each time, we're like, oh man, we're nowhere close. Like there's loads of ways to do this.
Exactly. And the smaller the variation is like you're converging on what is possibly, an answer.
Right, because
at some point, further cycles not going to add you much more information.
Nah, right? It's just going to cost you. And so when I look at Codex I always use the run 4 versions. And if I open number 2 and it's the same as number 1, I'm like, pretty much I might as well just go with this because there's no variation, so therefore there's only really one answer.
I hate to say this, man, but my favorite piece of math, I'm going to say it again. This is Monte Carlo. You run a number of instances until it converges on a probability.
Right. So, does that imply then that there is that natural evolution is running Monte Carlo. Basically, it's doing as many variations as it can afford, and then it's picking the best of what it saw, and it's approximating the ideal based on just probability and running it lots.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the fitness function is how good does good need to be?
Yeah. 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 Okay. Well, that's epic.
There seems to be something here. I mean, this is quite an interesting thing. So, what's
Hmm.
natural? What are the metrics and
There's some key parameters, eh? Like there's some key
There
platform parameters, and they don't just relate to the platform as a whole. They relate to the task at hand, like duplication rate, variance
Right.
rate, cycle time. Like difficulty of problem. Like you can infer difficulty by cycle time, by lack of deduplication, and all those things. And so when you look at that, and then multiply it by like millions of fronts or things being attempted, then you can start to get a feel for what is the overall innovation engine's progress rate and how close is it to maximum efficiency, and what do we need to change? Do we need more energy? Do we need smarter models? Do we need
more parallel runs?
more problems? Like, are we pointing it at the wrong thing?
There is definitely something here.
So there's a great theory in there somewhere.
There's also a connection between time and cost, because you can go
Heat,
as parallel
yeah.
as you want.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it might be a bad idea. Maybe you want to reduce the number of
Yeah,
iterations
yeah. So
and take
like,
longer.
yeah. So heat would be like, I guess the quality of the model would reduce the number of variations you need to get no deduplication.
That's the convergence. The more
The smarter the model, the more it gives you the same answer for the same question.
right. So the more you need to dedupe. Yeah, that's the same.
Similar, like it's the dedupe is the inverse of variation. So
Right.
that's really another way that you could look at the quality of a model, is if you're running it in this system and we're seeing like you need X number of variants to get an assurance or a duplication rate of like 50%, then that's the model measurement, like a Carnot engine measurement. It's like that's the, against optimum efficiency, that's the model score. And so
Yes.
you can class the model by like the better and better the model gets, the lower and lower and lower you need, until the ultimate model would need one run, and you're like, bang, done. And if you run it again, it'll just keep giving you the same damn answer.
Yes. 1 + 1.
Right. Or it will have like beautiful it would have beautiful variation. Its variation would not be random or fuzzy or noisy. It'd be very tight. Like you'd run it and you'd straight away get 3 things, and it would stick to 3 no matter how many times you ran it. So the variations would be crisp. They'd be sharp when they come out.
It's interesting because that is, again, the inverse of difficulty, right? Crisp answers.
It's not the inverse of difficulty. It's the inverse. It's something to do with difficulty and model strength. Gives you crispness.
Yes. But we take the model strength as the environment you're running the iterations in. If you get something that you run 1,000,000 times, 1 + 1, run 1,000,000 times, you're getting 2 every time.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Well, if you ran it on GPT 3.5, right, probably a couple of times you're gonna get it not exactly.
But the point
11.
being that is a metric on difficulty. How difficult was 1 + 1? Not very difficult. Because,
Right. So you could actually calibrate difficulty against model.
Yeah.
And measure things that way, right?
Right.
Fuck, this is interesting. So anyway, like the theoretical upper limit, like I like this term that describes it as heat waste. So by
Yes.
automating
Yeah.
couplings, you minimize waste heat.
Right. I like that as well.
Yeah.
Right.
And it, like, even
Transmission
things like
loss.
PRs start to fall apart. Like, we need a more automated PR mechanism. You know, like when it was humans making code, then it didn't really make a difference that it was humans reviewing code. But now that it's AI making code, the review process is like, oh Christ, this is painful. And do we even need code in the first place? Is probably a deeper question. But yeah, that was basically it, man. The
Man, there's a
theory of the
PhD sitting
Dreamcatcher,
here.
sort of.
There's a PhD waiting to happen.
Right? The theory of the Dreamcatcher.
Well, it's how to measure, because we, Bleasley say we're optimizing innovation. It's like, as soon as someone says how, or not how,
Yeah.
but how do you know?
Do you think that Grok was being funny there?
What is that, Greek?
It's saying that, e.g., you can't predict all bugs, and then it just acted buggy.
Translate that. See what it says. Just out of curiosity. Okay,
Not helpful, Google. Not helpful. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. That's all it's getting at. Like, I feel like we're approaching having a good understanding of the core mechanics of our platform, what areas we need to push on, how we can measure ourselves, and man, if you can ever measure yourself against absolute, you are winning. Like, you are going to conquer that space if you have a way to measure against absolute rather than just relative.
Yeah, of course.
And it
Because then
feels
you
like
can
there's
make,
a
you can make minor incremental changes, knowing that you're improving against something. If you don't know what something
absolute
is,
lets you
you're
know where
just
you are,
wandering in
man.
the dark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you indulge me? I'm just really curious. Can you translate that? Stick it in a separate Grok instance, and I'm just really curious to see what that is.
Do you think that I could convince you to use this platform as your daily driver?
Yes. The thing is the management of the repos and files and that sort of thing. But
Oh, like you're here. But how are you using files now then?
I'm just storing them locally, pulling them in.
In
RAG
how?
wise. Just RAG.
What does that mean? Like, can you show me a typical workflow so I understand? Like, because I understand that there's maybe not enough features here that you can use, but I'm pretty keen to get them going. I know you've kept saying files and folders, but I kind of want to. I'm really interested to see how.
It's I've got a whole bunch of stuff I don't want to show on
Okay.
the video on the thing, but cursor like
In Cursor.
in cursor, yeah, typically, but not always. Sometimes with cut and paste and storing local files, but quite a lot of it is in cursor. So it's like, I've got some context around it saying consider this folder and this transcript. I want you to do X. It's that sort of thing.
That means in advance. I think that Grok was being cheeky there.
Oh, yeah.
Because nowhere else was there a mistake of any kind except in the sentence talking about bugs.
Cheeky little bugger, and it still makes sense.
You can't
That's
predict all
interesting.
bugs in advance, and then it's like,
I
That's-
wonder if it's. I wonder if there's a. Oh, that's really fascinating. I wonder if in advance is actually a priori, and is that Greek or what language is that?
Russian.
Is it Greek? Is it Russian? Well, maybe it's that theory. I was about to say if it was Greek, maybe it's pulling from ancient texts, but
No, I think it's being funny.
Yeah, well, that's quite something. Well, what we'll do is today I'll use this platform and take notes, and then next time I'll take you
Yeah,
through
because
the points where I
yeah,
need you to
that would be awesome.
punch out to
Yeah, that
something
would be
else.
awesome because like when I use this, I'm like that's everything I need out of ChatGPT.com and Grok.com, except for things like that computer agent and Codex and maybe deep research, but everything else, I'm like it's better here. Plus, I have access to all this. To my data is actually mine, and it's like in a place where I can get a hold of it easily. Like it just feels more sovereign.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
That was cool, man. That was a cool chat.
there was. I'm absolutely fascinated by your thesis on this. And I think you're right. I think you're onto something. We probably just scratched the surface of it, but
Yeah, there's
um,
there's there's deep veins down there. Like there's gold in that path. What
yeah,
is it's like the next stage of Darwin's evolutionary theories applied to intelligence and just general problem solving, communications, heat, the heat of computation, the energy required. Like, there's all these crazy limits around, like maximum calculation rate of the universe and all that. People have figured that shit out. We ought to be able to figure out the maximum theoretical rate of innovation based on intelligences, variance of intelligences, number of intelligences, blah, 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 and so on. Like, it's almost like nature made many of us because Mother Nature needed many parallel threads to solve the deeper problem, which was an even higher powered intelligence than we had become,
yeah, yeah. I agree.
right? And each one of us is pursuing an individual path of calculation in the hope that we, or by sharing across paths, one of us, some of us, any of us, hit the next leap.
The meaning to life, the universe, and everything.
I don't think
Yeah.
nature cares about that. I just think nature cares. I don't know what nature cares about. It just seems to be
Well,
better.
that's the thing. Well, that's the thing. The nature isn't static, and this is the interesting
No,
thing
it
about
just
this.
seems to care about better, smarter,
Yeah. It doesn't
faster.
even. No,
Right.
it doesn't care about that either.
No?
If the situation changed on on the Earth, and it was better to be a rodent, then humanity would die out. The bigger mammals would die out, and we would have the Earth run by rodents. Um, if the situation changed and it was more stable, then intelligence would be fitter. And it's the
Yeah.
thing.
Look, I don't
Was
know
it,
enough about these things.
but I guess sorry, there's a thought there. Yes. Um, the interesting thing about having some concept of what is more efficient in innovation also informs the earlier discussion about when to trigger red flags. If it's more efficient to go to a human to get an answer, and you could actually calculate that, go to a human. If it was more efficient to go to a bunch of AIs to do it, then don't bother the human.
I think what we're talking about is a way that you could measure the effectiveness of humans on some classes of task versus machine, because with a reasonable number of trials, we should be able to recognize a way that a bot can detect when it's a human specialist problem,
Yes.
right? And it's like, well,
Yeah.
we know this class of problem, humans win. Call the human.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think
Precisely.
what seems to be throwing us astray now is that right now all problems had to be solved by a human, and now the bot's coming in and just eating up things, and we're like, oh no, humans are worthless. But actually, like those are just the things that were mechanical, more or less,
Right.
or mechanical plus network transmission. Like the shared sum of all human knowledge is looks awesome compared to each individual, but actually it's just lots of copies of you of varying degrees that don't really vary by that much. I
Right.
mean, was Einstein like 1 billion times smarter than you and me? He's probably maybe 1.5 times. Like it's not
It's not, yeah, it's not an order of magnitude. It's not the same as the wisdom of the masses. If you had
yeah,
a
yeah.
million people and a million agents, and you had a problem, being able to decide whether to ask the agents or the people is a useful thing. If what you're after is efficiency, it's faster to find an expert or to go to a whole bunch of agents to grind through. And
Oh, no, um, I was meaning that what we've stumbled upon is a way to benchmark an AI model by taking the difficulty of the problem but by defining model strength as an equation involving the difficulty plus the number of variances required to reach a certain assurance by way of deduplication equals model strength.
I would I would add to that. I agree with that statement. I would say that you could swap in human for agent there, or model.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Like
Yeah.
that same formula applies. Like how many different humans? Is it how many different humans or how many goes does a human need? Probably how many
that-
different humans.
Well, that was that sweet spot between do you want to work on this for a long time or working, in parallel. There's a cost and time piece here. You could ask a million people, a question, or one person a question. You can ask a million agents likewise. There really doesn't seem to be any distinction in terms of this formula. There's nothing about this formula that's AI unique. It's not about measuring models. It's about measuring,
Yeah,
cognitive space, I guess, or cognitive efficiency.
right. Problem solving efficiency, which is another way of saying innovation rate, I guess. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all fucking great. I'll just come back down to earth for a second there. There's a platform called Lovable that we should probably poke around at. It starts to look a little bit like what we're doing, because the fact that we're like everything, like we're trying to be an everything platform, not because we want to own it all, but because it's inefficient to have these distinct, disparate parts that don't talk well. We're just saying, just put it in one place and get on with it, really.
Yeah.
These guys seem a little similar.
So what did they do?
Lovable. It's like a vibe coding platform where stuff runs on their platform.
Okay.
A little bit. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
You search for them for anything, and as long as something.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it completely, but I was having a really nice time explaining to a friend of mine what our platform did and was gonna do, and he was likening it to Lovable. But he was like, but it's sort of trying to be for everything and da-da-da, like, yeah.
Interesting.
So this company, what do you reckon? Should we?
I think you got a good use case in the aforementioned.
Yep.
I think it's going to take some work that's going to require the tooling that you're working on at the moment. Once we've got that, it's a great prover of it. The formation of the company's timing really depends on the politics of the situation and permission to actually do it and so on.
Permission? Whose permission we need? We don't need anyone's permission.
Well, you need some kind of recognition or some kind of,
What do you mean?
Doing this for these guys.
Oh, no, but that's the point. This company is independent. So it's a service that we stand up that sits there and offers this ability to anyone. And then this project says, however they figure it out amongst themselves, we should put the social credentials into that service, because then at least we can trust that they're not going to be controlled by a single person, and we've got a signed contract from them in part of their like terms of use or whatever that allowed us to just go in there, click through, agree to the terms, and now we know that we can sue them in America if they don't follow our group instructions on how to use these single person credentials.
Yeah, no, I get that. I guess by permissions, you could refer to that as them signing the contract. It's like,
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah. So that's cool. But I actually think that this service is generally useful. And it's a way that we
I
can
agree.
build upon to have AI agents be able to enact with the real world, which is what the gateway corporations were for. But we were thinking about it differently. We were thinking that it was like people coming in and people coming into the gateway and forming a little project and then needing the gateway to then reach out on their behalf. But now we're saying it's like completely virtual in the agentic space, coming down and reaching out into the world. And that's really the gateway. So it's more like a landing pad than a launch pad.
Yeah.
Maybe we should call it that. Like every fucking idiot and his dog is like, launch pad, launch a startup, launch to the moon, off we go. And we're like, landing. We're making the landing zone.
After all, in any kind of space mission with people on,
Yeah.
it's the landing is the important bit, really.
What about crash pad?
Yeah, I quite like that analogy.
Crash pad.
But in answer to your question, yes, I love the idea,
Okay.
and having a kind of pilot problem in order to test the idea is valuable.
How loaded for work would you say you are right now?
I'm quite loaded for the next week. My hopper's about 2 weeks long, tapering off, so thereabouts. No, my horizon's not very long at the moment.
All right, so I'll do some research on where's the best place to incorporate then if you're sort of loaded a bit too much there. And then
Oh, isn't it obvious? It's just Delaware. Did you get a chance? I was halfway through reading. Congress passed a whole bunch of laws about AI, which on first skim read through seemed pretty AI friendly. Did that yesterday.
yeah, I didn't see those.
Very similar in tone to the crypto stuff. Very tech friendly. And really quite sensible. Actually.
Good.
With all
That's
this
funny,
stuff
eh?
going
Like
on.
America, there was all this noise about Trump, but actually the legislation coming through,
I know.
maybe I'm
I
an
know.
idiot, but it looks fucking good.
Well, all the news is about Epstein, and there's just this little sliver, below the fold, with a whole bunch of really impactful AI policy that is just being enacted just before they go on recess, and it's like, well done, guys.
Like he's
How long you been
like,
working
yeah,
on that?
right. Like the legislation that I see going through the House under Donald Trump looks like the stuff that we have always longed for, like
Yeah.
crypto clarity, AI regulation. Like I'm like, why is this not
Yeah.
bigger headlines? Like I didn't even see this come up. Like, am I
Yeah.
reading the wrong papers?
I don't. As I say, it was well below the fold on my feed this morning, and it's like, oh bloody hell! I only managed to skim what some of the commentators were saying about it, and not legislation. I've not read the legislation, but on the face of it, it's like basically very sensible, non-intrusive legislation that you'd expect. That
Right.
frankly, if a whole bunch of people like us were to advise, they've just gone, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I wonder
good.
why that is, and why do people hate Trump so much if the legislation that's coming through, like, I mean, I'm no expert on it, man, but that legislation, I'm like, why wasn't that done sooner? Like, what? Who didn't?
Well, I imagine they started writing it in January. They've taken the July to finish it, but
No, I meant like in years before, like
Oh,
under
gotcha.
previous administrations. I'm like, what did they do?
It's been like rabbits in the headlights.
Man, it just my mind boggles. But this legislation, it looks good. The crypto stuff, it looks good. So, shall I pick? I'll pick us a jurisdiction, and then I'll talk to you about it.
Yeah, cool.
What else we got, man? I think that's about it.
That's everything I've got. Probably need to go as well. But yeah, that
Oh,
was a
you got to
really fun
bounce.
talk.
Okay.
Yeah, that was real fun. Enjoyed that one.
Okay. Yeah, I'll keep going, and I'll stop the recording.